What's going on, leaders? Today we'll be talking about the results from the round of 16 of the World Cup and our predictions on who we think will advance to the semifinals of the World Cup. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's get into it. All right, so getting into the results of the round of 16 and our predictions that we made. This was our worst set of predictions yet, right? We went 50-50. We were 50% right and 50% wrong. So we look at the first game, Paraguay versus Francia. France, they did finish 1-0, right? Paraguay did give them a tough time. Some speculations and rumors that Kylian Mbappe was honestly talking shit about Paraguay having a female president, and that's what kind of started the back and forth between Paraguay and Francia. But that again, that may just be speculation, rumors. But yeah, Mbappe scored the penalty, right? He did miss a good chance to score, I believe a couple times actually in the game. But Dembele was going to take the penalty, but then they did give it to Mbappe as, Mbappe kind of just wanted to get his get back. And, he is tied for this. I think he's tied at 7 goals in the World Cup, and Messi's at 8 goals. So whoever finishes with the most goals in the World Cup leaves with the Golden Boot, right? So, they wanted to get him a goal, obviously, and it's Dictator Mbappe. They gave Mbappe the penalty. No, scratch that. They didn't give it to him. He said,
El que manda en el campo, el hombre de fe. Kylian Mbappé, Kylian dictador. Si yo pido el trono, yo ya lo tomé. Kylian Mbappé, Kylian.
Yeah, so France advanced. Anybody could have predicted that with a shot in the dark and got that right. All right, so right now we're 100%. Right? It's not going to stay that way. Next, Morocco versus Canada. Of course, we picked Morocco to advance. And honestly, that game was a lot closer than people would imagine it to be. I mean, the game was tied 0-0. Of course, Canada has home field advantage, being a host nation, being in North America. But it was 0-0 until the 50th minute when Onahi scored. And then from the 80-something minute, Onahi scored again. And then Rahimi scored in the 90th plus 8 minute to ultimately get the victory for Morocco. Diaz coming up big time. A lot of people thought he was going to elect to play for Spain. He actually elected to play for Morocco and did have 2 assists in the game. So shout out to him. Definitely a game changer and tournament changer for Morocco, as we've seen from the last World Cup as well. So yeah, next round is going to be France versus Morocco, which is tomorrow. All right, so this is where it starts to get wrong, right? We had Portugal beating Spain because we came up with this whole conspiracy that it was Ronaldo's last World Cup and the rest were going to work with him. That wasn't the case, right? I mean, it was 0-0 up until the 90th plus 1 minute. So the plan looked like it was going according to plan based on Sinatra's prediction, but Mikel Merino just went ahead and scored a goal in the 90th plus 1 minute, showing why his primary position is as a center midfielder, but his secondary position is as a striker. So he definitely exhibited that in, scoring the goal from the midfield. So shout out Mikel Merino, shout out my fellow Gunner. Yeah, Spain moves on. 1-0 against Portugal. Sad to see it is Ronaldo's last World Cup. He did confirm it. He was alluding to it at the point of us making our prediction video for the quarterfinal round. But yeah, it is official. Ronaldo is not playing international footy anymore. And I just want to take the second to thank Ronaldo for his contributions, to international footy. And, obviously he scored a lot of goals for Portugal, and he is obviously one of the best of all time. So thank you, Ronaldo, for everything you've done. that marks, that it's getting close to the end of an era, right? So if he's retiring from international footy, he's probably going to retire from club footy within the next 4 years. So give it up to Ronaldo for a successful career and, providing us memories that will last a lifetime. Not to get soft, but to get soft. Now, I'm a little fucking upset as an American. I did predict the USA to beat Belgium. And as you can see, they fucking didn't. Now, I'm going to tell you guys why they didn't. And depending on who you are and where you're from, you may not fucking believe it. It's close to the 4th of July. I'm not going against my country. We've actually knocked out Belgium before when they had Eden Hazard. And a prime KDB. Prime, just right before his prime, maybe. I don't really know, I'm chatting, because I'm pissed. The USA played like ass.
It became personal with me.
And it became personal to me because I've been backing this whole tournament as an American, which is not, far from obvious. The USA got dominated. I mean, the USA did hold a lot of possession as they needed to. Because when you look at what happened in the match, right? The game was tied in the 31st minute, right? Belgium went ahead and scored early. The USA tied it with a free kick from Tillman. Not Tillman. Back-to-back free kicks in back-to-back games. That deserves a round of applause. American national hero, I may say. Even though the second one versus Belgium was a deflection, I mean, you got to give it up for 2 free kicks, right? I mean, that's, if I could name anybody that's ever scored 2 or more free kicks in a World Cup, the top of the list might be Lionel Messi. But we'll get to Messi later. Because that game was nuts. But you stop smiling because it's not even funny, right? So we tied it up after the free kick. USA is booming. In Seattle, Washington's going crazy. They have really nothing much to be excited about except for when it's sunny out because it always rains there. And I guess that weird Amazon store where you could just walk out of the place without scanning your items. Look it up. I'm not getting into that. But the game was tied after we scored that free kick. And then literally not even 4 minutes after, Belgium goes up again. And at that point, hope is starting to dwindle. Right? So at that point, it's 2-1. I don't want to talk about the rest of the game. I'll give you PTSD. But they went on to win 4-1. And we got absolutely dominated. And not dominated in the case of possession, but dominated in the case of not doing shit with the fucking ball. Right? I don't know if I violated TOS by slinging 2 curse words back to back from each other, but it needs to be said. Right? Me, I'm 100% about Team USA for the World Cup. 100% down. Florian Balogun's my guy. Christian Pulisic, I have ties to. Not that I will say on this podcast. Not that I will say on this stream, I should say rather. But, me and Pulisic have a connection. Right? We share a commonality. Big when it comes to Team USA in soccer or footy. But why? And I was so impressed with the managerial options that the U.S. went for with Pochettino, right? I liked the wide play. I liked the technicality of it because it's something that we haven't seen before in this U.S. team. People were backing this is the best U.S. team of all time. And that was evident by the performance that we had in the first game versus Paraguay when we absolutely outclassed them. And Paraguay, as you could tell, is a good team. They beat Germany, and they almost beat France. Almost got a result against France in 90 minutes, right? So we were expecting a lot from this team. But when I'm seeing wingers play with that depth, right? Not really tracking back, but really pursuing forward, being Serginho Dest and Robinson, right? On paper, the back line, Freeman, Richards, Reen, was old as fuck, right? Sad for him, it's probably going to be his last World Cup. Then you have Dest and Robinson on the flanks. In your head, that's a 5 in the back formation, right? They should defend. Pochettino, park the bus. Right? No. You have Robinson pushing up the flank almost like he's a left winger. He's a left back. What are you doing? He's a left back. Serginho Dest couldn't make it out in Barca because he's not technical. The U.S. in this game I'm getting pissed off right now. The U.S. just looked like they were not technically adept to handle Belgium. We got outclassed. Absolutely outclassed. And this is a Belgium that didn't even play KDB. This is a Belgium that's not with prime KDB. This is a Belgium that's not with Hazard. This is not Belgium that's with Vertonghen, with Alderweireld. This is not that Belgium. And we're losing to them, getting embarrassed. Leandro Trossard did his fucking thing. And I'm not going to give him a boom sound effect, even though that's my guy. Did great things for the Gunners. Basically secured us a title in the late games of the year. But he messed up my team USA in the World Cup, so I'm not having it. And I'm just really mad, honestly, because they made me believe. They made Sinatra think that the USA was going to get past the round of 16. And I look back at that, and I'm like, am I dumb? Am I dumb for thinking that? Am I dumb for thinking the USA could do this? I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is telling me on Sky Sports or whatever freaking platform it is that they could go far. I take Zlatan's word for a lot because Zlatan is a freaking legend and one of my most favorite players in the game of all time. But you mean to tell me that this U.S. national team wants to play like that in the most important game of their lives? They're professional footy players at the end of the day. And honestly, you know what? If I can't even put it into words, so I have to show you guys. I feel like a visual representation is needed because my words don't put into a fact of how bad they were. So allow me to show you guys how ass the U.S. team was at the World Cup. That is how ass they were. That ass, spectacular. The type of ass the U.S. team was, not spectacular. How big of ass were they? That's how big of ass they were. You want to talk about textbook definition of ass? Is right there. Put something with an asterisk that says U.S. team's performance in the 2026 World Cup against Belgium. Right next to that spectacular cheeks. Right there. Because that is how ass we played. And if that doesn't do it for you, let me double up on that. Right? Double and pass it to the next person. I would receive that if it was passed to me. But what I'm saying is, if that wasn't a great example of Kim K, that's how ass they were. Right? That is how ass the U.S. team was at the World Cup. They were freaking ridiculously ass. Ridiculously. I saw about 6 back heels in that game that didn't even go through. The 6 back heels that didn't work. If it didn't work the first time, all right, it's the only way you could get the pass off. I get it. Be better next time. You do it again. Whoa, dude. You saw it didn't work last time, and you did it at a stupid time this time, and you're going to try it again? Not a good idea. And you do it a third time, and now I'm pissed off. And then you do it 3 more times after that. That's 6 times. I counted 6 back heels that didn't work. Right? At that point, take the touch, recorrect your body, face the guy you want to pass it to, and pass it. Like I don't know what they were thinking. That's how ass they were. And if that doesn't do it for you, I'll show you my personal favorite. If the last one didn't do it for you, that's how ass they were. Complete and utter dominance of ass. Belgium dominated that ass. That ass, not being Nicki Minaj, but that ass being the U.S. men's national team. I mean, like, so much and so ass the U.S. team was at the World Cup that you could stack probably the whole series of Harry Potter books on that ass as if it was a bookshelf. That's how ass they were. Trump did something that was unforeseen to allow Balogun to play in the World Cup game versus Belgium. They were pissed off. Well, they freaking showed that they were pissed off because they fucked us. They fucked our ass. Wait, Wait. That sounded wrong. I'm sorry. Rocky and Sinatra. Balogun had one shot in the whole game. Mind you, this is my guy. But mind you, the same guy that should not have even been able to play at all. And we said, hey, we need him. Whatever you have to do to get this red card rescinded, do it. And as a host nation, they said, we'll do it. Probably do a little grease in their pockets, right? I get it. But you're telling me we did all that for you to have one shot in the game? Now, granted, he did not have a great supply. But he's shooting a great chance with his left foot on the left side of the goal. Why don't you cut with your right and shoot it with the right? It could have been 3-2 at that point. Right? It just doesn't make sense to me. I know it's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, if Balogun is having one shot on target, we could have put King Von in there. We could have put Lil Durk in there. They had more shots in their career than Balogun did. Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. Why did we bring you back? Pepe could have done better than you, man. This is ridiculous. And this is how my national team is playing. Just like that. Gargantuan ass. Ass to this level. Right? As a host nation, with the audacity to come and play with that amount of ass is unacceptable, and it shall not be forgiven ever by me, Sinatra. But next year, next World Cup, Copa America, if we play Copa Oro, I'm still rooting USA, baby. I can't. I'm American, right? So how could I say? How could I deny rooting for my team? Well, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Back to the World Cup. Norway, Brazil. We did predict Norway to win, which he actually did. A lot of people didn't agree with that, but fuck him, because we were right. And Sinatra is usually always right, but this round, he was only right 50% of the time. So this Brazil versus Norway game, I did say was going to be the best game of the tournament. The best game is probably the Argentina-Egypt game, but we'll get into the Brazil-Norway game. So, initially, Bruno Guimaraes, I think that's how you say his name, missed a penalty, and the game was 0-0 up until Erling Haaland made it 1-0 in the 88th or 89th minute, and then made it 2-0 in the 90th minute. So at that point, it's 2-0 to Norway, and Brazil did get another penalty, and then Neymar did score that, and it did seem like Brazil was going to score again, but unfortunately they didn't have the capacity to do that. So if Bruno Guimaraes did score that initial penalty, it would have ended up 2-2. Tough loss for Brazil, especially Neymar, who it is his last World Cup, and he is the last person to score the goal in the World Cup. But yeah, Norway advances. It's not something that we weren't expecting. Me personally, but yeah, that next game, Norway England's gonna be fun. Getting into that England game, that was nuts as well. I think that was. I was gonna say that's the craziest game, but it wasn't. Very back and forth that was. So England made it 2-0 after 38 minutes by way of Jude Bellingham. Which, if you don't know Jude Bellingham, he is a midfielder, but this guy scores golazos. Not even golazos, but this guy just scores in general. From the center mid position is bonkers to hear, and but my hopes were up after Quinones scored. After it was 2-0 up to England, and Quinones made it 2-1. At that point, Wansa did get a red card, so it was looking like Mexico could come back into this, and then they gave penalties to England, making it 3-1. Now it starts getting really hard. That was in the 60th minute. Kane scores that penalty. In the 69th minute, 9 minutes later, Mexico makes it 3-2 by way of a Jimenez penalty. But ultimately, Mexico couldn't do enough. And within the last 20 minutes plus extra time, they weren't able to pull it off. And England did advance in Mexico City, which is nuts. I wonder how that plane ride was out of there. They did end up winning 3-2, so they advanced to play Norway. Last two games of the round of six, quarterfinal, is Argentina versus Egypt. That game ended 3-2. If you guys didn't go ahead and watch that game, please look up Argentina versus Egypt. This game was absolutely bonkers. And I have reason to believe that it was rigged. The reason I think it's rigged is fairly simple. Right? Let me walk you through what happened in the game first. Egypt scores in the 15th minute to go 1-0 up. Argentina's back is against the walls. You know, that feeling starts to subside where it's like, is Messi really gonna get knocked out right now? Right, so you ask yourself, naturally, Sinatra, how did Messi score? Well, I'll tell you, he didn't score in the 20th minute when he got a penalty because he missed it. That ongoing joke continues. So it's still 1-0. Egypt then makes it 2-0 in the 67th minute, and then the game goes absolutely bonkers. From that point, Messi scored. I'm sorry. From that point, Romero scores, their center back, and then Messi scores, so he does continue the streak, and then Fernandez scores in the 90th plus 3 minute, allowing Argentina to pull off debatably the greatest comeback in World Cup history, finishing the match 3-2. The resilience is crazy on display like a motherfucker, and honestly, proud they got that result. Is what I initially thought. What Sinatra initially thought watching the game, appreciating footy. But guess what? Fabrizio Romano, Mr. Here We Go, just tweeted, and he says, there were 23 mistakes made in the World Cup by the officiating crew. You guys want to guess what percentage was for Egypt, what percentage was for Argentina? Well, I'll save you the contemplating and the wondering. Record 23 mistakes by the referees were in favor to Argentina. This may have something to do with the U.S. investigating, U.S. FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigations. For my global fans who don't know what that is. The FBI in the U.S. is investigating Argentina Federation for potential money laundering. So we could already tell there's something going on. And honestly, you know, I predicted Argentina to win the game anyway. I think Messi still playing is good for the sport. I don't want to say it's not fair. It definitely wasn't, but it's not fair that the U.S. got Balogun for the game versus Belgium. So who am I to say? But there is only one way to Argentina getting 23 calls in their favor. I'm just gonna let that picture sit there, and y'all can think what y'all want to think. We're not a political channel, but this was sent to the group chat a couple times. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say. If you're wondering if it was rigged, I don't know. I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying I have a reason. All I'm saying is that is the reason that people think. All right. Now that we get that out of the way, the elephant in the room has been addressed. All right. So last game of the World Cup was Switzerland versus Colombia, and I said that it was going to be the worst game of the round of 16, as it was. Switzerland advanced, and I don't think that they deserved it. Because if we take a look at the stats that were put up by Switzerland, I mean, Colombia dominated them in every aspect of the game. Shots on target, conceding less fouls, not by much, less yellow cards, less offsides, less corners, and tied for red cards, as they both had 0. Switzerland did maintain more possession because they kind of had to. They had to try to get control of this game in any way. It was only 53%. They did have more passes by 63. Quick maps. Just saying.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Human calculator. But yeah, went to penalties. I think Switzerland got off really easy because I think Colombia would have definitely given Argentina more of a fight, but it is going to be Argentina versus Switzerland. Now, we get to everybody's favorite part, right? The predictions for the World Cup quarterfinals and who is going to make the semifinals. There are 8 teams left, 4 of which will be going home. Sad to say, you're leaving the U.S. I know a lot of the players that visited for the World Cup did enjoy the U.S. 4 of these teams are leaving. Gotta go. You got to go. See you later. Bye. Right? My prediction for the France-Morocco game. I know what you guys are thinking. Sinatra, are you going bold like how you went for the Portugal beating Spain? Prediction. Are you gonna go with the obvious favorite? Are you gonna go with the underdog? I like Morocco, right? I like them since the last World Cup. I think their defense is impeccable, and some might say impenetrable. But if there's any one of these if there's any one of these 8 teams that could penetrate that Morocco defense and do it very effectively, it is going to be France. I mean, we've talked about this all World Cup tournament, right? That front three of Mbappe, Ulisse, and Dembele, not even including who they choose to play in the left wing, that being Barcolo or Doué. That front four with the rotation on the fourth is spectacular. Defense spectacular as well. Overall, the best team, as has been the case for the past 3 World Cups. I have France winning, and it could be one that goes to extra time. It could be one that even goes to penalties. But I just think that France is equipped with the best players in the tournament, and I do see them advancing to the semifinals to play the winner of Spain versus Belgium. Now, when looking at the match of Spain versus Belgium, right, they had a lot to go up against. Ronaldo made it obvious that it was his last World Cup and has since been confirmed after the loss to Spain. They had a lot of chances created, Spain, and I think they did great versus Portugal. And I don't want to, take Belgium's resilience away from them from winning that comeback game versus Senegal. I think if Senegal would have beat Belgium, the USA would have advanced and played Spain. That's my fair and honest opinion. Obviously, they would have lost to Spain, the US, but you know, Senegal is not as technical as Belgium. Belgium versus Spain. Belgium's very technical. Spain's always done it better on the technical front. Speed, I'll give it to Belgium. Technicality, I give it to Spain. Finishing, I do have to give it to Belgium. Passing movement of the ball, you gotta give it to Spain. They pretty much invented tiki-taka, i.e. Barcelona, which is transcended to the league of La Liga and the Spanish league for the clubs in and of itself. Shama. I got Spain, but I do see Belgium. Like, if Belgium beats Spain, I'm not going to really bat an eye more than twice. More than once, but not more than twice. So I got Spain. So that means the semifinal match, which could have very well been the final match, is going to be France versus Spain. That's who Sinatra thinks is going to, advance to the World Cup semifinal. If you guys feel different, let me know in the comments. From the left side of the bracket, this is who we have advancing. Let me know in the comments if y'all disagree, why you think Belgium would beat Spain, or why you think Morocco would beat France. Let me know down below. And while I have your guys' attention, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, share. I, as Sinatra, am looking to be the biggest sports analyst to ever do it. So help a young man's dreams come true. All you need to do is press the like button. I'm not asking for too much. Maybe leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Subscribe. I think we drop pretty good videos. Moving on to the right side of the bracket, we'll start off with Argentina versus Switzerland as pretty upfront. We got Argentina, right? Argentina showing that, I don't want to say showing resilience because, it seemed like they, got a gift. But Switzerland in the semifinals of the World Cup is just something that I never would have guessed in a million years. So I'm not taking that. If Switzerland makes it to the World Cup finals versus either France or Spain, like, you already know who won. Right? It's going to be another France versus Croatia World Cup final, as we saw from 2 World Cups ago. I.e. the same competition level. Yeah, Argentina all the way. I see Argentina like swiping them, like sweeping them, maybe 4-1, 3-1. I also would have thought the same for Egypt, but wasn't the case. Close game. So yeah, Argentina beat Switzerland, and then for the last game, we have Norway versus England. This one, honestly, I haven't even thought about to this moment. I want to say that I want England to win, but I don't. I want Norway to win, and that's coming from that's saying a lot from an Arsenal fan who always has this poster hanging up on his room. But I think England did really good against Mexico. They put a lot of pressure on them. The Norway team did get lucky while Bruno did miss the penalty. I think if he would have scored the penalty, they might not have fouled in the box for the second penalty to be scored. That's going to be a really good game. That's going to be the game. I think that might be the game of the semifinals. And honestly, I might have to check the odds. I don't really know who to go with. I'm going to go with England to win. And here's why. Because Norway's biggest threat is Erling Haaland. But who plays Erling Haaland 70, 85, 90% of the year? English players. So they know how to lock him down. Thomas Tuchel did spend time at Chelsea, managing Chelsea to see how Erling Haaland played. So I think he already has a certain game plan for him, which could be adapted to, the higher of caliber player that he is now. And we look at the rest of that Norway team. I mean, you have Martin Odegaard, who is, as an Arsenal fan, it hurts to say I think he's overrated. And you got who? Oscar Bob. You got who's the right wing? Sorloth. I'm gonna have to take England just to be safe. I don't wanna come back from getting 50% of the predictions wrong in quarterfinals to semifinals. So I'll take England. But yeah, that was really fun, guys. I think I'm gonna be doing a lot more of that green screen action we got going on. I think that was fun. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Global Sport Report. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope y'all have a great day. Let me know who y'all think is gonna advance to the semifinals of the World Cup. But with that being said, we do have an interview coming for you guys next week, so I appreciate you guys. Tune into that. That's gonna be really interesting. We do have a really good guest, which I'm not gonna say in this video, but I'll say in the next video. So peace out, guys. Talk to you soon. See you next video. Bye. UFC 329.